Well, hello, ladies. This is like the fourth time to be doing this video. So thank you for joining me. And it is such a beautiful night here in Austin. There is this beautiful church bells that goes off every hour. And I just love it. I love that I can hear the church bells chime, and I just can walk to town and everything else, and just really excited about what the next year up ahead is like. And thank you for joining me. I have enjoyed our time together over the last year and 4 months, and have enjoyed getting to know you and embarking upon this journey of healing from narcissistic abuse and divorce and separation, and all life shifts. Everything shifts when you're healing from narcissistic abuse. And I hope you've enjoyed the content in this group. So I just wanted to go live, and I did have some major Wi-Fi issues, and the old Denise would have been like really uptight, and that things didn't go off, and she probably would have like blown up the whole rest of the day, angry and upset and disappointed about how the whole video thing happened, because there was a good take in all of that. But nonetheless, the new Denise, she just laughs it off, and she adapts and overcomes. And I like her. I like the new Denise that's in. And she laughed, she giggled about it. And, you know, that's life. Things happen. Things happen in life that are just crazy making and, you know, aren't planned. And that's really what, you know, when you can adapt and just, when you can adapt and just keep going along with things, that's really what the joy in life is, to still have joy and happiness. And, you know, I've really been practicing detachment. I navigate as a person in the emotional realm, and that's usually where I get taken out, or I take myself out. And I have really been practicing more detachment, like not letting my energy get upset by others or situations or whatnot. And today I'm pretty proud of myself, you know, with the snafu with Wi-Fi and deleting things and technology and just rolling with it. And here we are. We're doing another live. So I hope everything goes well. And if it doesn't, there's like take number 5 or take number 6 or whatever. That's life. And life can get very messy and complicated and uncomfortable. And where are we in the middle of all that? So again, thank you for joining me live tonight. And, you know, there's 6 major takeaways that I want to talk about tonight in healing from narcissistic abuse. And I want to talk about that. I also want to talk about some of the things I've learned being a coach out here for the last 2.5 years. And I want to share how I'm shifting and how I'm growing and how I'm evolving, and just share all of that. So again, I'm going to be talking first thing about, you know, what are the 6 big takeaways when you're healing from narcissistic abuse and divorce? And, you know, I'm going to share things that I have learned along my path, both as a coach to clients, a lot of discussions that I've had with other people who have navigated this type of healing, and also my own journey for the last 6 years about this. And so the first one is that healing is a very layered approach. And I'm a foodie. Hi, Rachel. I'm a foodie, so I love those torts, you know, those beautiful concoctions that are in a trifle bowl. And they start off with like lady fingers, and then there's like strawberries and some whipped cream, and then there's raspberries, and you can make it however you want to. But that really is the essence of healing from narcissistic abuse and codependency and divorce. It's a very layered approach. And it is a mind, body, spirit endeavor, you know, where your mind, the mindsets have to be looked at, the thought patterns have to be looked at, the triggers need to be looked at in your brain. There's also the body When you're in relationship with a toxic person, your body, there's tension from relational stress. And that tension goes into your body and it stays there. It stays there as stored trauma. And there are stored emotions and there are emotional flashbacks that are all in there. And we get sick. Our adrenals, we have adrenal fatigue. We have a thyroid that goes south. We have rosacea, we have hair loss, we have insomnia. We have all these health problems because we're in relationship with a toxic person and we didn't know it. And we also have a dysregulated nervous system where we're in fight or flight or freeze or fawn mode. And that really amps us up for anxiety and having lows with depression. And, in with the body is we have dumped out and we haven't been taking good care of ourselves because we've been focusing on others. So in healing, we need to bring back the self-care. We need to bring back that self-care is not selfish. And self-care is everything. It's everything from making appointments, medical appointments, to getting your teeth cleaned, to taking your meds on time, taking your vitamins on time, hydrating, eating, sleeping, taking care of yourself in all of that. And again, the third layer with mind, body, spirit is the connection with divine. And so there is this very layered approach that has to happen when you're healing from narcissistic abuse. It's not like flipping on a light switch and saying, I'm healed. There's a lot of modalities involved as well. A lot of people go the counseling route, and I think counseling goes only so far. And then you have to go off-road and meet up with other inner circle, a life coach, other coaches, other support groups, somatic body practices like yoga or massage or whatever. So it's a very layered approach. And I think in narcissistic abuse, people fall down when they think, oh, I'm just going to go to therapy. Well, it does work. Therapy to understand your past and your childhood is very rich in moving forward in your healing. But there's the present day and moving forward, new behaviors and life coaches and inner circle and our own personal development can really take us to the next level. And so, through self-care, through personal development, through learning new life skills, peeling back and being curious about how we're wired from childhood programming and how that has really given us it's really primed us to be in relationship with these type of partners. And for me, I've done 2 of them. I've had 2 toxic marriages, and I didn't know what I didn't know back then. But now that I know, I can do something different. And so it really is about falling in love with yourself, having self-love, really embarking upon personal development, which includes learning new life skills, putting those all into play. Psychoeducation about toxic patterns, codependency, what it is and what it isn't, how we show up in life and where we fall down. And really in that whole endeavor of self-care, when you start taking care of yourself, you intimately start connecting with yourself on a whole new level in mind, body, spirit. And in this evolution of you taking care of yourself, you really learn more about yourself in your standards, your values, your beliefs. And when you're taking care of yourself, you're more prone to really set good boundaries and communicate your worth. And you really have this deepest connection with yourself, one filled with compassion and empathy and understanding in all of that. And so that's why I'm a true believer that self-care really is at the heart of healing from narcissistic abuse. It really fuels a lot of mind, body, spirit, and just learning yourself, learning how you need to nourish yourself, how you need to get ready to go to bed, what you feel like when you're eating good food, when you're sleeping well, when you're setting those boundaries, when you feel worthy with all of that. You take better care of yourself. And in learning new life skills, you learn to be more open, more vulnerable, and more compassionate for yourself and for others. And, you're not closed down, like you're an open flower where you know where you begin and where another person, where you end and where the other person begins. And you have assertiveness, you set boundaries, you communicate better, and you actually are curious about yourself. And that's where all of the rewiring happens. That's where all of the deep healing, when there's just this self-care and love, and you embark upon all these layers. And it can take, as you embark upon these different things, it can take a year. Dr. Ramani says, if you're in one of these relationships, that, 1 year of a dating sabbatical is really good for you to go inward. And in divorce care, as a facilitator for divorce care, there's an equation for every 5 years that you were married, you should take 1 year. And I think that's been really pretty true to form with the clients that I have worked with and the other people that I have communicated with. And even with me, it's been 6 years since I left the toxic marriage. So rewiring does happen. And it's an ever evolving process. Like in the beginning, your self-care may be very basic. And as you learn more tools and you add those to your toolbox, it's an ever evolving place for how you take care of your brain, how you take care of friendships, how you take care of yourself in all those different areas. And, the self-care that I had 5 years ago is very different from the self-care that I have for myself right now. And, you learn about your psyche, about how you're wired, how you navigate the world emotionally, how your nervous system activates around certain people and where it's calm, where your limbic system, where, when you're with calm people, that you take on that attunement of the other person. And so it's a process to really hone in the people who are safe, the people who trigger you, the people who are toxic, and you get a beat on them, and you have this wonderful intuition. And again, I haven't talked very much about it, but inner child connection too, where we have that creativity and we have that connection with inner child, and just the love and shadow work. Each one of us we're not all made up of just good elements like kindness and empathy and compassion. We all do have negative traits. And, there's times when you can be jealous or envious or angry or whatever. And that's the whole circle, is that we are both good and bad, or positive or negative, or light and dark, however you want to say that. We have all of those components. And when we can embrace those things and be like, you know what? I was comparing myself to that person, and I am a little bit envious. And we can say, yeah, I was envious, and that's a trait. We don't have to be ashamed about it. It's part of us. And so again, in closing, the number one thing in healing is it's layered. It is not a light switch. It's not a flip, automatically you're healed. And I don't know if you're ever fully going to be completely healed. I mean, there's an evolution process, but you off gas, and there's layers and shrapnel and, things that come off you, that you see things in a new way. And I always liken it to like a spiral staircase. We may be right in the middle of it, right when we end a toxic relationship, or we're waking up to a toxic relationship, knowing that we're in one. But as we get more tools and skills and abilities, we start seeing things kind of wider and deeper and more expansive. And that's really the beauty of all of this type of healing. And it does take time. It is not, I'm going to spend a month or I'm going to spend 6 months. I mean, a lot of us have been in these relationships for many years, And over the years, we've degraded to the point of where we were. Like, I know that the person that went into that marriage is not the person who came out. And again, I don't regret being married in that relationship. I wouldn't want to do it again, but I am grateful and blessed to be on this side and be so strong and resilient and have this understanding and worthiness that I have never felt my whole life. And now I can say, as I've said in other videos, I am enough. And I'm like, can say it with gratitude and with a strength and a knowing of who I am inside and out. And that has been a gift, from blessing or curse, blessing that I was in relationship with a few toxic partners and childhood programming. And here I am on the other side, blessing or curse, in all of that. And it can be very beautifully painful experience to heal at this level. So healing is a layered approach. That's number one. Number two is no growth will happen without getting outside your comfort zone. And I know that, I'm 57 and, as you get older, you don't want to do new things or get outside your comfort zone or feel discomfort or new and be embarrassed or try something. But that is really at the heart of healing as well, is getting outside your comfort zone. If you stay inside your comfort, your stability, and your security blanket, you will never get outside to grow and experience things beyond what you have going on in this world. And in order to do that, you need to have people that push and pull you, whether that's an inner circle, whether that's a coach, whether that's a therapist, or whoever else is in your world. In order to evolve to the next level, to go beyond where you are now, you need to be following and in relationship with people who are beyond you in order to grow, to evolve. And, one of the things for me when I was in the Marines, we'd have to go do our 3-mile run. And running was always kind of hard for me. And, I'd get to the 1.5 point and then coming back, I would be like, I'm going to catch up to that person. And I would like hurry up and, I'm like, okay, I'm going to pass this person. And so I would play these games, and healing's like that too. You need to find people who are going to push you outside your comfort zone and have discussions and plant ideas and really evolve beyond the level that you're at. Or if you don't have those assets, if you don't have an inner circle that is supportive and is out in front of you, that's pushing and pulling you, you won't evolve. And, you have to come to terms with being alone, being worthy, that, when you're outside your comfort zone, that you're going to make mistakes. And yes, we're going to look funny or silly or whatever, but it's the mindset with it. And, if you ever watch any of these videos with athletes, and they show, hey, I couldn't do that particular trick or that move or whatever. And then like 20 iterations later, they're still making mistakes. They're stumbling. They're doing things on the trampoline. They're understanding how their body moves. And then here you go, like months later, it's like, oh, they nailed that awesome trick on the ski slope. And that all comes from evolving and knowing your world and knowing your body and knowing your intuition. And it's also being around people where you're seen, heard, known, and understood. That really can make a huge difference when you're around people who can hold open space for you to be in whatever state that you're at. I mean, here I am 6 years later, but there was a time where I was crying all the time. Whoever I was with, like I feel bad for those people now, but I was just this sad Eeyore. And that was just part of the grief process that I was working through. And they still loved me through it. And, the conversations are different with your inner circle, with a coach, with a therapist. with people that are out in front. The conversations are different. They're higher level, they're higher vibing, they are expansive for what you talk about. And there's an understanding about somebody who knows, who's been through this, and how they can help and really get into that yarn ball that we all, what's at the center of it. And when you're around people who are embarking upon this, that are ahead of you, you can, or with you at the same place. I can't believe this, my Wi-Fi, but anyway, we'll keep going. So, not knowing what's next, that's outside your comfort zone. Like, not sure how this is all going to work out, not having a partner, not, fixated on trying to find someone to love you or be in love with. I mean, all these things are outside your comfort zone. So number 2 is getting outside your comfort zone is where the growth is. And that's where the understanding is. And that's where the pushing and pulling and getting you outside your comfort zone really exists. So the third one is emotional literacy. A lot of times when we're in relationship with toxic people, slowly over time, we have shut down in the emotion department. And, I've seen this with the clients that they aren't angry. They're flatlined and they're not able to get into their emotions. And when we're in that state, we don't have access to these emotions that God gave us. And when we feel angry, that means we've had a violation of a boundary. And if we've got our emotions shut down, then we don't have this wonderful tool to be able to use to navigate life. And, in having emotional literacy and really understanding where we are emotionally and what our emotions are telling us is really an amazing process to integrate into your being as you navigate healing. And yes, there is an incredible amount of grief and depression and anger that's there. And you need to feel it all. You need to feel it. And, you don't have to feel it all in one sitting, but, it's kind of like this. We have our torsos kind of like this pressure valve, like this. Think of it as a propane tank. And when we're doing Kundalini yoga or breath work or feeling angry and allowing ourselves to go there for 30 seconds or a minute, we're creating we're opening that valve to create a little bit of space so that we can start feeling that full amount of anger and the grief and the depression. And these type of relationships are overabundant with grief and despair and anger and, that disenfranchised grief. We're grieving what we didn't have. We're grieving what we had. We're grieving what we thought we had. We're grieving all these different components, the financial, the house, the kids, the lack of romance, the situationhood, the sexless marriages, the coping mechanisms that we've allowed ourselves to get under to move through these relationships. There is just an inordinate amount of grief, and there's a prolonged grief disorder that really goes along with healing with narcissistic abuse, and there's nothing wrong with you. There's a period to be sad. There's a period to mourn and have funerals and move through that. It is normal for you to be sad and depressed and be grief-stricken during the healing process of all of this. And it isn't permanent. Whatever feeling that you're having and that you're walking through right now, that's part of the process. And everybody has to go through it in their own time. Some people have longer grief. Some people have shorter grief. People have really hot anger. Other people, it takes a little bit to get into that repressed anger. But all of those things they're not permanent. And they're a way to really, when you're not feeling your emotions, it's like this little tiny box that we're in. And when we can get into the grief, when we can start moving those feelings in our body, and when we can start just allowing for that to off gas in our body, there is this, that it just shifts like from being in this box and it expands. And as we expand out and out and out in these feelings, and we get deeper into it, and we allow it, and we surrender into the anger, we take these big steps that from this little box of no joy, no happiness, not a lot of anger or a lot of anger, or however you are in this little box, to being able to have this expansive and joyous joy and happiness. And it is just, it's a part of the process. But by going into these feelings, you actually open your window up so you can feel all of the kaleidoscope colors of the world of joy and happiness and worthiness. And there's a lot of disenfranchised grief. I did not hear this term until last week on one of Dr. Ramani's videos. As I talked about earlier, there's a lot of disenfranchised grief where people don't have an understanding of this. Most people have an understanding of grief of when a person dies. Well, in essence, we've been torn down in these relationships. One person's been in the higher position, we've been buried, and there's so much grief with all of that. And again, we need to let that go. We need to understand it. We need to surrender to it. And it's a process. But emotional literacy and feeling your emotions is critical to moving forward in healing from narcissistic abuse and divorce. The fourth item is safety. Safety is critical for you in this healing process to feel safe in you so that you can trust yourself again. I have talked with so many survivors of narcissistic abuse and with the clients that they don't trust themselves. They don't trust their decision making. They still outsource it to others. But part of the process is getting back into trusting your decisions, trusting your intuition, trusting your discernment. And yes, you're going to make mistakes, but understanding that you can self-protect yourself. In fact, about an hour ago when I left work, there was a young girl, a young lady, she's 19, and there was an altercation with a customer at the store. And, she was like, well, who's going to help me? And I said, well, let's talk about that. What skills do you have? And we have the ability to protect ourselves. We have, our thoughts, we have our words, we have, our actions for how we can protect ourselves. And so many times when we're in these type of relationships, we outsource that to others. And we need to bring that back into ourselves to trust ourselves with our decision making, trust ourselves with intuition, discernment, and wisdom, and take action on what we're feeling with all of that. We need to learn to be there for ourselves. We need to learn to be okay in the loneliness and not having a partner and moving through all of that. Yes, there is existential loneliness and there are those feelings of not being enough, but we get to change the mindset on that. Am I any lesser of a person because I'm not in relationship? No. Sure. At times I may feel lonely and, I'm not partnered up, but just because society says that I need to be in relationship and because I'm not, because I'm worthy and I'm not going to settle again, I am not going to settle for anybody who isn't like 100% of what I'm looking for. Like, no, I'm not going to settle ever. So I'm going to be single and I'm not going to wait to be happy and joyful until I have a partner. I'm going to be joyful and happy today. And I'm going to trust myself and connect with myself and really embody worthiness, and I don't need a partner to do all that. And even though society says that I should have a partner and I should be in relationship, that's really up to me and how I get to decide what that's all about. But we need to learn to be there for ourselves. And we also need to get into our standards, our beliefs, our values, and we get to reevaluate every single one of those components and take them on for us. Like for me, I don't need to be in relationship. Like I know probably, when I was 30 years old, I'm like, oh, I got to be married and I got to be, part of a family and all of that. And I'm really challenging that for myself. Like that is not something, I desire that. That's my heart's desire, but you're not any lesser or better because you're in relationship. Oh God, I see all of those type of relationships out when I am having a drink or out having a meal by myself. There are so many toxic relationships out there. I see husbands and wives, they go out to dinner and they don't even talk to each other. Like I don't want any part of that. But you have to take on your own beliefs, your own standards, your own values, and you get to change those things. We don't have to have those from childhood. Like, we get to change those and update them for ourselves. And that's the beauty of it. But in all of this, in the safety, when we find ourselves, when we connect with ourselves, we're not looking outward. We don't need people to validate us. We don't need all these other things from other people. We don't outsource anymore. We have all of that ourselves. And that's the beauty in doing this healing. And again, there's great value in having a beautiful inner circle of spiritual people on a healing journey who are committed to evolving in their own personal development. People who can hold space for you, whether that's a trusted friend or somebody who's going through that's ahead of you, or a coach, or even a therapist. But there is great value in having these conversations because they're different and they're thought-provoking. And I've been really blessed with a connection here in Austin with a gentleman who's healing after being with his wife for 39 years. And, we have a lot of same skills business-wise, and both of us are wired to do this work because we're very deep processors and we evolve and we see all of the different subtleties. And it was so lovely to have coffee with Clint last week. And he really helped me in a lot of different areas and I helped him. So it was nice to be able to have conversations about Joe Dispenza and neuroplasticity of the brain and putting things out into the universe. And do we believe in any of that? And so having those type of conscious conversations. And, for me, I have other coach friends that I have these discussions with, and they're very valuable and they've really helped me to kind of feel where that little strand in the middle of the ball comes together and what I believe and having people who ask questions like, that's very valuable to me. People who ask questions, well, what do you think about that? Or, tell me more about that. Like that's very valuable in you getting a handle on who you are as a person in this next phase of life. So number 3 is safety, really getting into a sense of safety for you so that you can self-protect yourself, but that you also trust yourself. You trust everything that you're doing on this earth. And the 5th way is connecting with spirit, having an intimate, loving, kind, open, vulnerable connection with God, with Jesus, with your spirit, with Holy Spirit, whatever it is that you call. And for me, I'm connected with God. And the imagery that comes to me is an infinity loop with God, like knowing that I am worthy as a daughter of the Heavenly Father and that He's got good in store for me. He, even though some of this journey has been hard, He's been there every single step of the way. And He's probably carried me a lot of times too. It's just been this intimate time with God. And I know that I'm finally worthy. And I've always been worthy, but I didn't feel it. And now I feel it. So that connection with spirit can really give you a higher sense of purpose for how you're navigating this life and connection with scripture. I read the Bible every single day, most days, and do Bible study with another lady that I met at a retreat. And I have connection with that because there's different threads that come together. I was trying to remember last week, but I'm doing this book it's called Significant. I have a Bible study partner, Tammy, that I met 2.5 years ago. And every single week we read, a day from this. And we've been doing it now for 2.5 years. But there was this whole section in here in this Bible study that was all about there are times when we have experienced suffering at the hands of others. And, to go about and list those items, that I'm just trying to think about where it was. We are bound to suffer in the wake of other sins, but God transforms our situation as we follow in his steps. And, that was I wouldn't have had that if I hadn't been in this, personal development and doing Bible study and continuing to seek and be connected with him. But there was some really great journaling that happened to really look at, some of the ways in which I have suffered at the hands of others, and, how to let that go in journaling and really seeing it for what it is, and knowing that he's got good in store and he is the almighty healer. And I just need to allow him to do that work in and through me for me moving forward. So again, that infinity loop with God is agape love, like the love of the Father, like allowing yourself to feel that and be connected with that energy and just follow it. The Lord has brought so many wonderful people into my life, a lot of body healers. And it's taking me this last 6 years, like on incredible places with people. And, if it's taken me, I remember I ended up finding an acupuncturist who really specialized in PTSD and off-gassing that type of energy. And it was the weirdest thing. I mean, I was going to therapy, seeing a trauma therapist, and there was this really cool little shop. And the Lord took me in there, and I met him. I met this gentleman, and, for like 2 years, I would go and have acupuncture sessions. And he really helped me to release a lot of toxic energy that was stuck in my body. So the Lord leads you. The Lord leads you to other resources to help you along on this journey as well. And, there's great benefit to prayer. Great benefit to prayer. Every single day we have that opportunity to connect with divine and pray and really share our heart and be intimate with the Father. And, every single day we have that gift of prayer, and, we can have it multiple times a day. But prayer, I've got a whole box of prayers that I have from the last 6 years, and they've really evolved. Powerful prayer for whatever's next in this book of life. And I do want to say that there was something from the Bible study too that was like, worry ends where faith begins. And I have, even though I'm a believer, I do struggle with belief, and, I struggle with worry, but there was just something in that. Worry ends when faith begins, and having faith that the Lord has good in store for you, that you are worthy just as you are in this very moment. And he is taking steps to lead you on your healing journey, and there's only good in store. And I know whatever you're walking today is just today, and you don't know what's going to happen in 6 months or a year from now, or maybe tomorrow at the drive-through at McDonald's. I mean, who knows with all of that. But, there's great connection and healing with the Father, and having that intimate connection to Spirit, Holy Spirit, Lord, God, that. So the sixth and final takeaway for healing from narcissistic abuse is integration. And integration is really about the practical application of putting all of the tools, all of the healing, all of the different skills and abilities and things that you've been learning, and, your central nervous system and everything else. It's really where the rubber meets the road, is practical application. Going out there on a day-to-day basis and really letting those things go that no longer serve you, and learning new ways to communicate, new ways to be, new inner circle, leveling up, making hard decisions. If things don't serve you, you make a hard decision, you move on. If something isn't feeling right, then you get out of it. We are ultimately in control of who we are in this very moment, and we get to make these decisions, and nobody else is going to make this decision. And so, we have to level up our self-care. My self-care from like 5 years ago is completely different to what it is now. And I do want to caution you ladies that, if there is something, your self-care evolves every single season. And I just wanted to share that there was this really great meditation, a guided meditation that I really missed. And a few months ago, I actually tuned back into that. And what it did was the neuroplasticity, it kind of connected in what I was walking through in my healing with the music to what I was currently doing. And so I just want to caution you that sometimes, your self-care, like this meditation, is sometimes it's just letting that go. Maybe find a new song or a new guided meditation. As you evolve your self-care and your brain work and the things that you're reading, they need to evolve too to get you to the next level. And be very cautious about tuning into things from previous work. You may not need that, or it may trigger you. I know for me, that week was really difficult, and I figured out that it was the brain work. It was that it had opened and reconnected something in my brain, and I needed to move forward with changing up my guided meditation. So I found new stuff, and now my brain's all back. So be careful with some of that. But we do need to close doors. We do need to have funerals. We do need to say goodbye. And some of us are just very sentimental, but that saying goodbye is really for your best interest, whether that's saying goodbye to a romantic partner that's no longer serving you, or a person in your inner circle that you're disagreeing with or is no longer, healthy for you or whatever. But this whole integration component is about unlearning those things from before. It's rewiring a new experience, a new person that you are. It's about consciousness. It's taking that stuff from your subconscious, your unconscious, your programming, and bringing that into the conscious and choosing to be a different way, a different person, choosing to do it differently. And again, in the practical application, in the integration, you are connected in mind, body, spirit. You are connected with your body. Like, where that anger resides. Where that resentment or that happiness or that feeling of worthiness in your solar plexus, where that all resides. And again, evolution. And it's always helpful in this season to have people along on the journey with all of this to help you with it, practical applications. And, in this practical application integration period, you have shifts and twists and turns and dead ends and, having to jump over to the next place you're going to jump over and make it, but you find stability in the instability. You find knowing in the unknowing. There's a lot of duality. There's a lot of duality in black and white to kaleidoscope thinking. We may be yes, no. And when you're in this practical application, you can see all sides and all colors, all kaleidoscope. That black and white image is now all these colors. And, we see all sides. There's, those things that were soft, there's a hard side. Those things that are hot, there's a cold side. Really looking at your situation from 360. And, some of us are really tuned to thinking, but like, where is it in my body? So those things are duality as well, that the mind and the body and thinking and feeling. And, just an example, I had a conversation with somebody about anger, and they were saying, I'm doing all this journaling, and he said, I'm really concerned about feeling this anger, that there's so much. And what if I can't get it under control? And, what if? And, in all of that, we have to get out of the thinking brain, and we actually do need to go in and feel our anger. And, maybe that's having a resource available or being in a controlled rage cage. With all of that, if you're not sure about, being able to get out of that deep anger, that fiery hot anger. but you do need to feel it. And you need to, some of us are just have to be in our body. Some of us are in our body. We need to be thinking more, but in the integration, there's practical application to these lessons that you've learned. And, there's a really big thing, lesson or test. And a lot of times we have these things that keep coming back in, and they're the same flavor. So is this a lesson? Have I learned the lesson? And if you have learned the lesson, maybe it's a test so that you can do something different. And that's really what being outside your comfort zone, this is really about this healing of integration. And you get a better sense of who you are by getting out there and practicing. Practicing, for me, it was all about that aggressive, antagonistic woman. And, I can spot them now. And in the beginning, I fawned, like I couldn't really engage. And, slowly over time, I've been working on my trauma response that I can see it. I now slow down the process. I now can set boundaries. I now can, raise my voice. And that's been a slow process over the last 6 months of being able to be in engaging situations and difficult situations. We can shut down and self-protect, but the real power is being in these situations and knowing that we have all these capabilities and we can put them into play. So I just really wanted to have this high-level discussion about, the takeaways that I have seen with clients, with other people, other survivors that I've been in communication with, and also in my own healing. And, I just want to say thank you for being in this group this last year and a half. And you had an intimate view of what that was like for me to be in a coaching program that did not serve me, that actually was causing a trauma response to me that I didn't know about. And here I am, in all my glory. I have notes, but I'm not needing one of those scroll things, a teleprompter or whatever. And I'm back. I'm back to who I am and how I can help people. So anyway, that takes me to some evolution for me. I've enjoyed this group for the last year and a half, year and 3 months or whatever. I was back on Facebook. I really don't really like social media, but I started this group and it was recommended by the coaching organization, and I met all you ladies, and we had 300 ladies, and now we're down to below 60. And, we're all trudging and we're all moving forward in our healing. And I have healed and moving forward and have learned new lessons. And so I just wanted to share that I too am shifting. And I've had a wonderful experience here in Texas to meet more people in person. And I am moving more towards a therapeutic model where I can meet with clients on a one-on-one basis, and more like a therapy model, like you would go see a therapist, where there is sitting in the room together. Or, if people are outside of the area, again, that would be a virtual session. But I'm going more towards a therapeutic model of working with people, because I think that there's great, great personalization and customization. And I do believe that there can be some great work to customize and personalize the type of expertise that I have to the clients that I work with. And I do enjoy connecting with people, and I do have an energy about me. And I think there's something about eye-to-eye contact, and also feeling and having the limbic experience of attunement with one person another in a room. So I am moving towards a therapeutic model to offering sessions, either one-off, which, again, I'm going to be very clear and transparent. I was harmed in a coaching organization that had a coaching program, and I paid big dollar for it. And it's taking me many months to get back online. And it's really had me shifting about the value of having a coaching program versus working with people one-on-one. And I really, in this next season, want to work with people one-on-one, where you have a personalized and customized service and connection, that we're working on things that are specific to that client and moving them forward. And, with my expertise in life coaching, nutritional therapy, and certified personal training and yoga teacher, I can really help somebody meet them where they're at with their central nervous system, offer some options for self-care, as well as really helping them with some specialized breathing techniques and also some movement patterns that can help with off-gassing that type of stored energy and emotions. So again, I'm offering one-on-one sessions that'll be like 50 minutes for $75. So anybody could schedule a session with me for $75, and then I offer a discounted rate. So if there's 4 sessions, each session is $60. A bundle of 8 sessions is $55. And then if you have 12 sessions, then that is my best rate, which is $50 a session. So you guys can do the math on all of that, but I want to be transparent. I'm not very good at sales. I know what I know, and I know I can help people, and I'm just not good at sales, and I want to be transparent, and having a customized, personalized approach really feels good to me, and transparency in pricing, just like a therapist. So again, I have background in psychology that can help, and also my experience, my amateur PhD level in narcissism nuances and healing. That was really my heart is for helping men and women heal in this season, because there's not very many people who can hold open space to understand the crazy making of all of the nuances in these relationships, the stories of intimacy problems and withholding of sex and financial abuse and all of the gaslighting. Like, only another survivor could really hold open space for you. And I just want to share that there are other coaching programs out there, but beware, be very aware of what you're getting into. In my healing, I found that it wasn't helpful to be in narcissistic support groups. Again, everybody was triggering one another and was very difficult to manage, to have all this energy in a room with a therapist. For some people, that may be a great approach. For me, it wasn't good. And, I have found other people who have found that to not be helpful for them either. There are other helpful, programs out there. Like, I'm not really a big fan of Lisa Romano. I actually was going to go into her program, but I felt that, the one-on-one, the personalized, customized approach, it was going to be in a group setting. And, there are specific things to each one of us of how we've been abused that needs to be addressed. And having that eye-to-eye, heart-to-heart contact and having that discussion can be very different. And so I actually had enrolled in her program, and I bailed on it. I trusted my intuition, and I ended up getting out of that, and I did not find her to be very helpful. I know Dr. Romani does have a program, but again, if you're looking for a mind, body, spirit person, that is something that I'm gifted in and I enjoy, and I am moving forward in the therapeutic model to offer in person and also virtual sessions. So if that's something that you're interested in, you can drop me a DM. And so I am closing down the group March 1st. And I really have enjoyed this connection in the group. And I hope that you have enjoyed the content and the thought process and just the nuances of healing and just the abuse process and the thought process with all of that. I have enjoyed putting together the content. I've enjoyed hosting this group and curating the content and the different things that we've done here the last year and 3 months. I believe that we are all friends. So I would love to maintain connection with you. And again, if there's anything that you need or you want to reach out, or you're struggling with something, I'm always available in DM. I really do have a heart for men and women in this space, and I do not want to leave anybody without resources. So you do have the ability to send me a DM. And I did put in the link that I am going to be relaunching my business page. So that'll be a Facebook business page, and it'll have more content, similar content to what's been in the group. And I'll put that on my business page. But if you want to stay connected and see more about all of that, you can go to my business page, Be Your Own True Love. And that's going to be relaunching on 3/1. And I have moved into a space of more public speaking and doing local health and wellness workshops. I actually am a co-facilitator with a counselor for a veterans women's group that deals with military sexual trauma. And I have really enjoyed co-facilitating that online virtual group with a counselor. And I have been engaging more with veterans groups, and I will be a speaker at an upcoming women's Veterans Appreciation event. I will be heading up a big mindfulness activity with the women who will be in attendance, the 80 women who will be there for brunch. So I'm excited about that. And I am shifting into being more in my spiritual gifts. I have not shared probably with you folks, with you ladies, but I am a level 2 Reiki practitioner and a sound therapist, a workshop, sound healing. I do the tuning forks, and I hope to be getting into purchasing a sound table and also some other accoutrements that go along with that. But I really do believe that there's great value in sound therapy, and I want to be walking more in my giftings with the Reiki energy practicing and also sound healing. So that's something that's more to be determined and moving forward. And I feel very secure and confident in that. And I'm looking for wellness groups to participate with and co-locate with so that I can offer my services on a one-to-one basis. And, for any of you who've never done vibrational healing, there is just this fabulous mind, body, spirit thing that happens. This vibration can really launch some of that stored energy. And I remember, with my healer that I have, I just love her to death. Her name's Bria Getz, and she's with Bliss Wellness Studio in La Center, Washington. And she was playing the singing bowls on me. And at one point, I couldn't really feel my heart. I couldn't feel the vibration, and that's how shut down I was. And I think that there's some wonderful gifting to give that to other people, to allow them to have that energy be released from their system and help them to move forward in connection with all of their chakras, from their throat chakra to be able to speak and really embody setting boundaries and communicating and getting in touch with their voice, getting in touch with their heart and their solar plexus to have self-authority and really be able to make good decisions for themselves and see the future with all of that in connection with divine. So I feel really confident and excited to be moving forward and putting these action steps into place. And I don't know what the future holds, and I have enjoyed this group, and it's with bittersweet closing this down, but there's also other ways to connect and stay connected. And it's a shift, there's I don't believe in goodbyes, but there's a shift. And I want to explore the freedom in this new venture and moving forward with all of that. So I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this group and allowing me to come back into me. And it's been a crazy ride all of last year to with all of the coaching group and the anxiety and all of the fear. And I had no idea my trauma response. I had no idea all of that was going on. But once I, connected in with some really great people and figured it out for myself, I was able to get back in, and I ditched the coaching group and I moved to Austin, to pick up and move all the way from Pacific Northwest to Austin. And it's been a wonderful move. And I'm really proud of myself to just pick up and move. I don't have family here. I'm making connections. I just started a meetup group to meet other people, to be more social. And so far, in just the second week, I think we're up to 40 people. So who knows what's going to happen with all of that. But, there is great stability in the instability. And I am a planner. I'm a strategic planner. And to be in this place in my life where I have no clue where I'm headed or where I'm going or what's going to happen, it feels really resilient and grounding to be in this space of, I've got myself. I understand myself. I can protect myself. I can make good decisions. And, God's got good in store for me. And whatever it is, it's going to be great. And stay tuned, the Denise from 10 years ago or 15 years ago, she wanted to have the pathway and have a runway and her plane and everything else. And I've got a galaxy, I've got cosmos, and I've got the Lord who's pulling for me. And I don't know what this next season is going to be all about. And I'm working in a grocery store for right now. And it's what I'm doing for right now. And who knows what's going to happen tomorrow. And I've met so many wonderful women, and Texas is the bomb. I know some people, they've never been to Texas, and they're like, well, there's, other things going on, but the love of Christ and having connection with spirit. And I find Texans, there's so many people that are from different areas that it is a hodgepodge. And I've had the most connecting conversations with people here, asking, if they could pray for me, or be careful about that. Who prays for you? What church do I go to? Having some really great conversations, deeper conversations than what I've had in the Pacific Northwest. So I just wanted to go live tonight. We've gone over an hour, and thank you for joining in. And if you have any questions, or you need anything, or you're struggling with something, reach out to me in DM. I am here. I love any person who's in this group. And if you need anything, let me know. I'm happy to help with resources, or, shifting a mindset or whatever. But please like my business page. Send me a DM. If we're not friends, send me a friend request. And I'd love to stay connected and, see how you're, drop me, I'm happy to, connect in and see how you're doing. And I love seeing women in healing become worthy and to not be oppressed any longer. So I just want to say namaste to all of you ladies out there. And I look forward to carrying on the conversation. And I am going to keep my YouTube channel. Be Your Own True Love is out on YouTube. A lot of the same videos are out there. I'll be doing some newer videos and stuff like that. But just, so you can like my business page. You can go out there on YouTube and Be Your Own True Love. You can still see me out there. Stay friends. I'd love to stay friends with you. And, from time to time, drop a note or connect, or, I'll reach out or whatever. And I just have a deep love and respect for anybody who's walking this healing of journey. So namaste to all of you. And I look forward to carrying on the conversation. Take care. Bye-bye.